Oh, I'm here. Hi, guys. That was all of a sudden. I was just playing with my audio, checking that it wasn't too loud for you. Hello, how are you? We're going to get into mic techniques, mic accessories, best mics for podcasting and live, and other things as well that really help get you great audio. So, after this little video, we'll get into it. Let me know where you're watching from, guys.
And peace of mind. Live video is the best free tool to win clients and grow your income and authority. So, if you want to ditch the overwhelm and confusion to skyrocket your online success through the dynamism of live video, then you are in the right place. This podcast covers all aspects, from your mindset, voice, style, and personal branding to all the technology and tools you need to get started and grow with live video. And now, here is your host, Katie Simpson.
Woohoo, here I am. So let's get into this. So we've got 3 things to cover today, and I'm doing an extra live this week. Isn't that exciting for the Thrive with Live show? So we're going to get into microphones. So let's just cover a little bit about the basics of microphones, so we can get microphones that look a little bit like this. Microphones, excuse me if you're listening, that look a little bit like this. So they can look really different, can't they? And this is the Blue Yeti, which you might recognize. Great looking microphone. There's things that it's good for, things that it's not so good for. So all mics tend to be better at some things than other things. So, for example, some of them are better when you're up close and speaking directly into it. Some are better when you're a little bit further away, or you can be both. And they're not so good like that. They're better like that. So they're called side address rather than front address microphones. So some are really good when you're not quite eating it, but not too far away from that. Yeah, and some are better at further away. So just to give you some examples, on live video, people tend to not want to be right on top of the microphone. So I tend to not speak in this as I really should do, which is directly into it. I'm just going to break off to say hello, my friend Tim. Lovely to see you here. Thanks for coming. I hope you're well. So some microphones you should really, for the best quality of sound, speak directly into it. Let me just move that pop shield over it a bit better. And some are better further away. So on live video, people don't tend to want to be like this. Hello, I'm here. They tend to want one that's a little bit further away. So often people really like a one that's like oh gosh, the name's gone out of my head. I've got the name Boom Arm in my head, but maybe Tim can help me. You have it, so generally quite a long, small, thin microphone. You generally have it sort of above you, and it takes a surround sound audio picture, as it were. It you can hear, around you, not so much as it takes it from close to. So there's different microphones are better for different things. So some people, when they're going live, they like a lavalier mic that you can hardly see, and they'll just pin it on something. Some have like a really clear headset earphones type thing, with a tiny little microphone that's maybe sort of flesh colored there, that you can't really see very well. So a lot of people like going live and making it not obvious that they've got a microphone right in front of them. Some like this. You've got a tabletop thing for it, and you can just have it on the table in there in front of you, and the quality isn't going to sound as good as when you're on a podcast. If you listen to a good podcast and you can really hear a very good quality sound, you can hear a lovely richness in the voice, a lovely depth, a lovely closeness of sound. So for a podcast, you do need to be right close to the mic, and you need a mic that is one that is good for that sort of close contact. So one that's quite cheap, that's extremely good and very, very popular is the Samsung Q2U. It's also made by another company beginning with A, which has just gone out of my head at the moment. So sometimes if people can't get hold of the Samsung Q2U, they get this other one that's actually, it's the same build of microphone. So do let me know in the comments below if you're interested in that, because it's in my kit list if you want that. So just write kit list in the comments and I can get that information for you. So yeah, that's a really good quality mic. It's great for podcasting. It's really good for live as well, because generally you get a kit with it, with a little stand, so you could just have it in front of you, and even if you're not directly on top of it, it will get a good quality sound for your live videos. But if you're on your podcast, I would recommend that you get a boom arm. Now I'm just going to try and zoom out and just show you that this is a Heil PR40 limited edition microphone. It is a wonderful quality one, and it is in my kit list if you want to see that. So again, can't put kit list. So it's on a boom arm. It's a boom arm that's made by the company Neewer, Neewer. I wouldn't recommend this boom arm though. Neewer are a great company, especially for lights, really good for that. But some of these mics are pretty heavy, and a boom arm has to be a really strong, flexible piece of kit to be able to hold a heavier mic. And also you want it to be flexible so that you can move it out the way. So the reason that you would get a boom arm is to stop the knocks that you just naturally have on your desk. You know, if you just put your pen down, you put your hands down on the desk, you just brush away something and it will knock the microphone. And for podcasts particularly, that will really come out as a big spike on the waveform. It will be a sudden noise for people, which you don't really want. For live video, because there's that visual aspect and people don't tend to really listen in as closely as they do for a podcast. You know, they don't tend to have their earphones in quite as much for live video, so it doesn't matter as much. So boom arm is great for lifting it off the desk, but also putting it in front of your mouth, so it's a right position for your face. So that gets me into one of the tips, which is with microphones, you need to have them about fist width or hand width, like that, away from your face when you're speaking into it. And then it will give a really high quality sound. If you're literally eating it, I don't mean that. You know what I mean? You're literally on top of it. Your lips are almost touching the microphone. It will distort the sound it will make it a bit too boomy, a bit too bassy. You need to have a bit of separation between you and the mic. And if you notice, I've got another bit of separation between me and my mic, and it is a pop filter. So you can either have a windshield, which is a piece of foam. It tends to be black foam that just fits over the top of the mics. You've probably seen them, and they're incredibly ridiculously cheap. Just a little tip: make sure, especially if somebody else is using it, that every so often you give that thing a wash. It will pick up all the spit and all the horrible stuff. So these help. The windshield or the pop filter, you can get metal ones, ones that are made of like things like tights going across, and they just stop the I'm saying this away from the mic, the those sounds, those plosive sounds that will make a spike on the waveform. They just help with that. This one isn't terribly effective, and I'd really like to get a different pop filter. They tend to be quite cheap. You can get really expensive ones. If you look at some reviews on YouTube, people are reviewing them, and it doesn't necessarily mean that if it's a really expensive pop filter, it's going to be amazingly better than a cheaper one. Obviously, dirt cheap is a bit negligible, whether that's going to work particularly well. But it is a bit of a trial and error situation. So you do need one of them, especially if it's a good quality mic, which is what you really want, that picks up all the sounds in your voice. All right. So, so for podcasting, you really need to have the microphone at mouth level. You need it quite in front of you. You ought to have it on a boom arm so that it's away from the desk, so that it's a good height, so that you're not going to bang it so much. And there's another thing that you can get, which is really great to have on the boom arm as well. And that's like a support that you can put on the end of the microphone, and it just supports the microphone. And so the mic sits in there, and it's got rubber bands connecting the microphone to the rest of it, and it just supports the microphone. It's in my kit list, so just write kit or kit list in the comments if you want that. And it just helps with in case there's extra bangs and things like that. It just supports it gently by those rubber bands so that it can vibrate naturally without making any extra sounds. So some more little tips. If you have one of these Blue Yeti microphones, they can be really, really good. They were made by Blue in the past, so apparently the quality has gone down a lot in the last several years, but still it's a great looking mic, and it's well built. It's very strong and sturdy. So there's some things to think about with this microphone. So you can have it on that tabletop stand, but again, it's going to be low for your voice, for your mouth. You'll have to crouch down to do your podcast. Fine for live video. It's going to pick up bangs and things from your table on this. So you can take it off the stand. So let me just see if I can do that without dropping the microphone. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Oh dear, that would be good. So you just unscrew it from the sides, which I have managed to do without dropping it. I'm not speaking through this at the moment. I'm speaking through this one, the Heil PR40. On the bottom is where it plugs in, and where you can put headphones in to monitor your sound. When you're on podcasts, that's highly recommended so that you can hear exactly what the audience are hearing. And here you can put this into a boom arm. So you can get a boom arm and have this going onto the boom arm. Now, this is what we call a side address microphone. You may have seen stock images and various people speaking into it like that. The diaphragm of the microphone, the bit that you're supposed to speak into, is on the side. You've got to speak to it on the side. So if you're having this on a boom arm, don't have it facing you like I've got this one, but you can have it pointing down at you if you like. So as long as you're speaking into the side there or there. And there's other buttons on the back where you can have two people speaking. So if you're sitting or standing here and the voice is going into the front, it will pick that up. It won't pick up the sides, and it will pick up the back. So that's like a figure of eight. One of these looks like a figure of eight, and you would twiddle that so that you've got front and back address, and it won't pick up the sides. Otherwise, you've got one that's like a heart shape here on the back, and that means it's picking up you at the front and a little bit at the side as well. There are some microphones that you have to be rigidly in one place. If you move to the side, one side or other, it's not going to pick you up, which for a beginner is really difficult. It's not going to feel natural. You're going to feel stuck. And if you're making a podcast or a live video or something, you just naturally want to move and chat to people. So there's different that you can also have all directions. So it's a circle. So you could have this in the middle of your meeting room and people can speak all the way around. For podcast, that is not great quality. And also the figure of eight, one person there and one person there, is not also really recommended, because you really want to be able to adjust each other's audio separately for podcasts. Because what if one person is louder, has a louder sort of maybe harsher voice than the other has a softer voice, and you're trying to edit your podcast to make it sound really good, and one person is, you know, a lot different audio from the other person, and you can't separate them if they're with the same microphone. We always recommend that you use different microphones. So if you're in the same room, you can be right next to each other using a Samsung Q2U or a microphone like that if you want, because they're not going to pick up a lot of the surrounding sound. So you're not going to have, like, it's not going to pick up both of you on each microphone, because that would make really weird sound issues there. So I hope that has been helpful. So talking about best microphones, yeah, so the Blue Yeti is a really popular one for people doing live videos and podcasts. It's a very, very multi-purpose, useful, great looking microphone. I'd recommend that you got a boom arm with it, but it's not really recommended for podcasting, because it's a more surround sound microphone rather than a dynamic microphone like this. That it means it mainly picks up your voice and it doesn't pick up the surrounding sounds nearly so much. So if the doorbell went, if the dog started barking, if somebody started mowing the lawn or whatever, which are natural things, they often happen, don't they, when we're just when we're about to go live or whenever, it won't make so much of a difference, because it's mainly, focusing on your voice and not the surround sound. With this, a lot of people, if they're doing podcasts, they try and block the sound out by I was just seeing if I got a blanket around me, getting a blanket and putting it over themselves, Or what you could get is you can get a little screen. They're not very expensive actually, and it's in my kit. So have a look if you like. So you can put a little screen around the back of your microphone to stop that sound coming. This really happens with the other microphone made by Blue as well, which is called the Snowball. So it's a much cheaper microphone than this. This is just over £100, so maybe $150 or something. The Snowball is about 40 odd pounds, maybe 60 something dollars. And it will take in all the sounds from everywhere. There's a road somewhere here which I can hear, so you'd be able to hear that, and you know, birds and all sorts of stuff. So you want to try and block out that. And if none of those options work, go into a closet that's got loads of clothes around it, loads of furnishings, loads of a carpet and loads of clothes and stuff, and just hide in there in the dark and do your podcast. A lot of people do that. So there's ways around it. Now, my third tip today is whatever microphone you've got, you can make it a lot better. You can make your sound a lot better by working on your voice. So there's some simple things you can do to work on your voice, but these are things that you need to really practice regularly. And you can just, when you wake up, you can do this as a little wake up warm up, if you like. So if we vary the pitch of our voice so that we're not speaking on a monotone and it gets a bit boring, la la la. It makes our energy go down. It makes it boring for the audience. They think that we're not very interested in what we're saying. We don't really care about them. It just puts things like that in people's minds, even if that is totally not the case. So try and vary your pitch, the range of notes that you speak on. So it doesn't mean that you have to be really over the top like that. That would be really weird. But just sound excited and get a bit of musicality in your voice. That's one of the things you can do. Another thing that you can do is just to maybe, if you speak very, very fast, maybe just to slow up and think about using your mouth and the tip of your tongue and the teeth and your lips. So there's a little warm up that you can practice: the tip of the tongue, the teeth and the lips, the tip of the tongue, the teeth and the lips. And if you can get really good at that, you can do it fairly fast and even pronounce the d of and. The tip of the tongue, the teeth and the lips. People tend to say the tip of the tongue, the teeth and the lips. Yeah, and they don't pronounce tongue and tongue, and you have to work quite hard with your mouth to enunciate those things. So if you speak and you're careful about pronouncing the ends of the words, then that will really help. So that's one little warm up. Another simple one is just saying the numbers up to 10 and making sure that you pronounce the ends of the numbers. So 1, 2, 3 is really easy, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, making sure you pronounce those ends of the words. So that will slow you up. Another thing that will slow you up is to think about speaking a whole phrase. So basically speaking up to a comma or a full stop in your mind. You'll have to work out where your natural pause is. So speaking up to there and then taking a little rest to breathe in deeply, to refresh yourselves, and it refreshes your audience at the same time. So you can just speak a little phrase and then have a rest. And then carry on speaking a little phrase and have another rest. Like that, and it will slow you down. So enunciating clearly and slowing down and having a rest. So if you are somebody who tends to speak in really short bursts, This same thing will help you as well. So focus on your pronunciation, really trying to pronounce the ends of the words. It doesn't mean that you have to put on a strange accent and really start speaking like this. You, if you practice it, you will sound normal, believe me. And go for the ends of a whole phrase. Try and speak in a phrase that is understandable for people. Another little tip is if you tend to sound a little bit low energy in what you're saying. So I'm not talking about monotone anymore. I'm talking about somebody who tends to go down at the end of the phrases and they maybe end off with a little vocal creak in their voice. That isn't a great sound either. So think about trying not to go down at the end of the phrases, but trying to go up. You won't sound like you are asking a question, because if you ask a question, you slide up at the end. And that's not what I'm asking you to do. So you can go up at the end of your phrases and you'll just sound a bit more enthusiastic. You see what I mean? So I'm going up and then I have a little tiny dip. Enthusiastic. Yeah, tiny dip like that. So that will help you sound more enthusiastic, but don't do the up talk thing where everything that you say is a question, because that just makes it's a bit annoying if you keep doing it, and it makes you sound really unconfident, like you're asking a question because you're not confident, you're not quite sure about what you're saying. So I hope that's been helpful with some tips. And if you would like some warm ups, so when you wake up, you know, things that you can do in 1 or 2 moments to really help you level up your voice, get a great sounding voice on microphone, on podcast, on live video, then just write the word warm ups in the comments and I will get that to you. I've got a special voice coaching offer at the moment as well. I love, love, love helping people get confident voices and great sounding voices, finding their true voice. If you're interested in that, let me type that into the chat bit. Bodley /May voice coaching offer. So let me just put that in there with me. bit.ly May voice coaching offer, and have a little look at that. And I'd absolutely love to help you with your voice. I think I have posted that, guys. Do let me know if you can see that. And I'll put that here as well. Whoops, there we go. May voice coaching offer. So actually this voice coaching offer is for you if you want to improve your singing voice as well. I've been teaching voice for over 20 years now. And I absolutely love it. Our voices are such a personal thing to us. If we have some difficulty with our voice, if somebody's been cruel to us or just made a like snide or passing remark that's a bit negative to us about our voice, it can really feel crushing. I know how that feels. And for somebody to work on their voice, increase their confidence, they will sound and look and be more confident in their business, and they are bound to sell things better. It's often when we go into a little bit of a sales pitch that your voice can dry up. You can get all tense, nervous, sweaty. Our voice can get shaky. Our voice can get croaky. And maybe you start coughing and you sound like a different person all of a sudden. And people just think, not sure I really trust this offer that she's or he's selling, I don't think they really believe in themselves. And it can really put people off. And it's no fault of yours at all. It's just so common. Loads and loads and loads of people struggle with this. So I can help with that as well. And you are bound to enjoy your sales pitches. Who doesn't want that? Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for being with me. And so warm ups down there if you want the warm ups, or kit if you want some. You want to see what I recommend for microphones and accessories, then just put that down there as well. And really look forward to seeing you on your next one. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, guys. Bye.